Hey there, everybody. It's Jane from Chalk Mercantile and Surface Anthology. I didn't send out a text today because I'm updating my Mac, my computer, and it's taken a lot longer than I thought it would. So my husband, who's in IT, is like, you should always update everything. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it now. I didn't know it would take so long. So here I am with our joy sign. I painted the letters in from the Harrington script, right? There they are. And I just used a little, I am not a sign painter. And if you're a sign painter and watching this, don't watch because I know they use really specific brushes and they're amazing. They're just amazing. But I just used a little artist brush and I just kind of went in and did my thing. If I were to do this again, like when I used to do makeup and I knew I was going to be doing liquid eyeliner, no coffee. You should not have any coffee or anything that's going to make your hands like a little jittery from the caffeine. So anyway, but I like it. I wanted it to kind of look like that. Hey, Barb, good morning. How are you? So glad you're joining me. I really wanted to use, I was playing around with these rosette molds for this, and I really like the way they look, but I discovered I'm out of clay. I'm totally out of clay. Somebody cleaned me out. So the clay, the rest of my iron orchid clay is headed down to Texas, and I'm out of my own little stash. So I'm going to be ordering that. So then I thought, you know what? I'm going to use the star stencil that I used for that tray that I did, and why not? And then I can always put like molds over that if I want to at a later time. And I love this star. I just love it. So I'm gonna do that, and you always see me using my little natural sea sponge. Works great. This is what I'm gonna use. And you have to kind of activate it in some water, like this. It thinks it's back in the sea again, except this is not salt water. And I'm just gonna really give that a good squeeze. And when you do this, not only, oh, you're having a nice warm day in Portland. Now, Barb is in Portland on the other side of the country. She's in Portland, Oregon, right, Barb? Because there's also a Portland, Maine, and I grew up in Portland, Connecticut, which nobody's ever heard of. Teeny tiny town right on the Connecticut River with a big quarry. I'm so glad you're having nice weather. You guys deserve it. All right. The other thing I thought about while I was looking at this, I'm like, all right, where do I want these? I'm just going to let it be random. I could be really kind of mathematical about this, but I'm not going to be. That's right. Barb's out there. Barb, what time is it there? It's 11:47 here. So aren't you 4 hours or 3 hours? I always mess, and I lived in California. All right, so I'm just gonna start with this star right here. I've got my barely damp sea sponge, and you can get these in the makeup aisle, this little one. Hey, Renee, good morning. Oh, and you grew up in Portland, North Dakota. Maybe there's a Portland. There's like a Portland in every state, but you would think it would be a port, right? So Renee, you must have a really big river or something there. I'm so glad you joined. I'm amazed there's so many Portlands. I'm just gonna take this, right? You see how much paint I have on there? And I'm gonna offload onto my towel here. That's a little bit too much paint, right? So it should look kind of like that. And then I'm just going to start pouncing up and down. And And I'm not going to make these perfectly opaque because as I'm doing this, I'm like, maybe I'll kind of match the handiwork, right? Where I hand painted the letters. They're not perfect, so I don't want my stars to be perfect. And let's lift this up. Cool, right? I love these stars. So now while this side's drying, I'm gonna move over to the other side. Right? And maybe put this one, because I'm really eyeballing this. I want it to be kind of uneven. So I'll put this one over here. And it's hard because you cannot see, you know, you've got this piece of plastic. It's not super clear. So you've got to be careful. You got to be thoughtful. Good morning, Shannon. Shannon brought her stars. Not stars, see? Her sun. The sun is a star, right, Shannon? Her sun and flowers. So glad you're here. All right, I'm going to start with the paint that I have left in this. Let's see how it looks. And I'm going to hold this down. Yeah, it looks pretty good. These little sponges hold a lot of paint. And it's up and down, not side to side. And I'm kind of turning, looking over at my other star. All right, and let's see. And you just left. Beautiful. I love this. I really do love this stencil. Now this one, right, is definitely less opaque than this one. So that's another way to vary. You know, if you want to do something like stars that are further away or brighter in front, you can think about that. All right, now I'm going to try adding, go over to this side now, a little one over here, right like that. I am going to get some more paint on here. And I'm just using regular old chalk paint. I think any paint is fine for something like this. All right. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking I should have started with a fresh load up of paint over on the other side, right? So if I continue this way, this side is going to be brighter than this side. So I'm going to have to change that up. Hey, Renee, you like it? Isn't that cute? Okay, now I am going to, with my sea sponge already loaded up, not adding more, I'm going to add another large, but maybe kind of escaping the edge here. So let's move the towel. And these dry pretty quickly. So maybe over, I don't want it split right down the middle. Like that. And if you need to, you grab your frog tape. I would definitely advise painter's tape. So you don't want anything that's going to lift up your base there. Okay. And pounce away. And if you find, you know, one side is just so much brighter than the other, because you're doing what I do, you can just align your stencil back over and add more paint, like to this one over here. That is not a big deal. Okay, very cute. Now, Let's add maybe a large one that's kind of going off right up there, off the base here. And I'm going to have this one kind of go really close to my J. And I'm going to load on some more paint. Now, did you all see the cornhole boards I did in that giant Ralph Lauren stencil? Oh, though that I was getting a little bit frustrated with that stencil. And let me tell you, that stencil was over $200 when I bought it. And it came with all these other stencils, you know, in that design. It's beautiful. But it had paint on it that I could not. I bought stencil cleaner, and it's my own fault. I had used a paint. I let it dry on there, and it was years ago. I couldn't get it off. And it was really affecting what I was doing, you know, how things were looking. So here, how cute is this, right? And I'm adding a very kind of Victorian looking font with these mid-century stars. And they don't read super mid-century to me because it's on a Christmas, you know, sign. So it's not that strong to me. But it's fun, right? All right, now I'm going to do one of this little one right over here. Right about there. And I should have, yep, enough paint on there. I love these stars. To me, look like they're kind of dancing and moving. They really do. They have that feel to me. Okay, now I think maybe, I don't know if I want to put one right near, and you know, I could just grab my red paint and go over one if I don't like it, but maybe something like a smaller one. I don't know. I was going to put one around, but I think it might be too much. I kind of like this. Maybe another little something up here. Let's see. I could put another little small one. See, then I start to get into my old art school days, you know, balance, and I start to get really a little wacky about this. Let's put one right there. But like I said, I could just grab my red paint and go right over this. And I can do this one much softer. Pretty. Of course, there's 4 things there. That's an even number. And, you know, they look like they're twinkling. So I need to add another little something. Maybe I'll do, no, what do you guys think? Maybe that's just enough. And if you look at this, because somebody asked me about the top, this is the groove, right? This is the top of the, see, the piece of wood. This is a piece of maple flooring. So that's why it looks like it didn't go all the way up. And somebody asked about that when I had this taped to the board. So that's what that is. Well, I really like it, just like that. And I think what I'm gonna do is I wanna add something like a rope, a white or a red rope, so that I could put a couple of eye hooks on either side, have it come up, and maybe put some red and white leaves, or I have these red and white mushrooms, those German cotton spun mushrooms that I really like. But This was really easy, you guys, really, really quick. And if you don't have a star stencil, right, you can literally just use the technique that I showed you. Go to Canva, go to the free Canva. They have all kinds of shapes. You just look up elements and pick out a star shape, and you can just trace your stars right on there and paint them. It is a little bit of work. I'm not going to lie to you to hand paint something like this. But I've done really big signs by hand painting them in my past, right? Because I couldn't find a stencil that I liked and I wanted a certain look, and I painted the whole thing, like some really big signs that way. So it's not impossible. But that's it. Hey, Sawdust. So happy you joined us, and I love your red and green hearts for Christmas because it's Christmas in July. And I've got some other projects up my sleeve that I want to show you guys. I actually had to order some stuff. Now I have to order some clay because, as I said, here are our little rosettes molds. These, I have no clay. I have no Iron Orchid air dry clay to make these in. But I really love my little sign. It's very, very sweet. I even thought about going over, you know, I love my German glass glitter, putting some glue on here and putting a little glitter. We'll see. We'll see. I'll show you guys what I end up with. I have to find red or white rope, or maybe some, if I can't, maybe some jute. I can add another kind of natural element, tie it up and put something right up at the top where it will hang. Sawdust, Renee, Shannon, Barb, thank you so much for joining me today. I promise next on Wednesday that I'm going to send out a text alert. My computer is still updating and it's taking a little while, so that's why I didn't send anything out, you guys. But have a wonderful, wonderful day today. Happy painting. I hope you get to put a little bit of creativity into your day. I will see you all